Welcome to the Brief Box. With me today is Sihle Dube, who is the founder and creative director of a clothing brand called Sbhiva. Sihle, thank you so much for your time. So before we even talk about the clothing brand, let's talk about why you're here.
I'm here to meet my potential customers. I'm here to actually expand my brand in terms of signature and to actually hear what I can represent my brand as throughout Africa.
That's quite interesting. Sbhiva is a very interesting name as well. What does it mean?
Sounds like a chant, right?
It does.
Viva, Viva. It rhymes with Viva, but Sbhiva is actually a play on words of the name beetle.
Okay.
Because Sbhiva is actually what we call a classic beetle. It's
Right.
in Deep Soweto.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about how the idea of having a clothing brand and then matching it with this name that is iconic, I suppose, within Deep Soweto.
So I started the brand in the motoring sector. So beetle car clubs, fixing beetles, and I actually built my own engines.
Okay.
And so I needed a signature that will expand the brand and something I could exchange, with the customer instead of selling my car.
Right.
Because when I started off, I got the beetle from my brother, and then I used to get stopped quite a lot on the road and getting offers left and right, and I didn't want to part with my car.
Yes.
And I thought, okay, this could actually mean that I create a signature that can represent a beetle in a tangible way, an exchangeable, way, like a t-shirt, a cap, and then fast forward, after dressing myself with like a t-shirt and a cap, I got like expressions of interest, friends and family, and then that's how the brand expanded.
You still fixing engines or you've...
I am.
Okay.
I was 2 days ago. So
Right.
I overhauled my engine and like at night in my spare time, I just sit in the garage and then just fiddle with my parts.
So how long has the clothing brand business been up and running for?
7 years now.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's quite interesting. So talk to me about the setup. Over the past 7 years, what kind of traction have you made?
Shoo. This was an interesting journey. So I was still a student when I started. So sold at varsity and then I went into a mainstream job. And then I kind of like took a break. And then when COVID hit, I jumped on that wave and then supplied my winter range. The demand grew like exponentially, and then I eventually jumped ship, and then I started religiously doing pop-up markets. And my signature has been, to give, my craft to people from all walks of life. So for the past 2 years, I've been selling my clothes to tourists.
Wow.
Who come to the playground, who come to the Linden market. So I changed from just, moving from one market to the other, but to concentrate in one niche, which is the affluent crowd, I would say. People who can afford to buy, a unique piece, because I also make like your one-of-ones, limited editions. So so it just grew on consumption from customers and getting feedback, doing bespoke designs. Up until I supplied Edgar Centre City for a year.
Wow.
And a shop at the Kailami corner called Jackson's. And I've exported quite a lot of my jackets as well. So
okay. So is this sort of unisex wear? Is it for males? Is it for females?
So it's a men's wear.
Okay.
That is unisex.
That makes sense, yes. Okay.
A lot of my customers are female.
Right.
Who either buy for themselves or for it could be their sons, it could be for gifting, it could be their partners as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
Is it a range of shirts, caps? What are we?
So shirts, it's everyday wear. Everyday casual wear. Your caps, shirts. I make jackets, which is a mixture of a shirt and a jacket.
Yes, I was going to ask you what a jacket is. Okay, so let's talk about, this is your first Meetings Africa.
Yes.
Have you had any interest, people coming to your stand, inquiring about the beetle design, the name? What kind of conversations have you had so far?
The primary one is, what does it mean? Where you from? Where you based? the general questions of how they can get the brand. Collaborations.
Mhm.
I get collaboration questions. What inspired the brand? So the general like questions and how far do you want to go? Do you export to North Africa?
North Africa, that's quite interesting. You mentioned that you, building on that you have been exporting because some people are interested. Do you find that a lot of the interest is coming from social media? Or is the interest coming from people who bump into you at the pop-up store and they want to know how they can get the shirts over?
First time experience, meeting someone in person.
Right.
Yeah.
And is that consistent interest, or how are you finding those who ask for your stuff or in other countries?
It's consistent. It's also word of mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. So, I mean, your experience of, you mentioned that people have been coming to the stand and they've been inquiring about the name. What kind of interactions do you then hope to, establish over the next couple of days?
So, just another reminder that I represent also a narrative of, South Africans from Soweto, to be specific, who want to be, exporting global products.
Yes.
So we speak about sending the signature. So it's a whole culture package. Sbhiva being, a beetle, but in a colloquial sense.
Yes.
So we're exporting the culture of South Africa, Soweto to be specific, and also the craft, that comes from a youth.
Tell me about that culture within Soweto. For those who may have, heard about it, read about it, want to see, what's the culture like once one drives into Soweto? How would you describe it?
So the energy it's positive. It's whether you know the history or not. I mean, you always have, the sense of hunger
Yes.
to have an interest. This place looks different. The vibrancy. So with me driving a Beetle, I get attention a lot from kids.
Okay.
I hear them. So I drive with my windows open, when on a hot summer day.
Yes.
You'd hear kids, pointing at the car. Yeah, Milea. I know, Namang I am. So that, that interaction of kids, or they laugh at the car. They're like, Mr. Bean, mistaking it for a Mini.
Yes.
And then you also see adults who wave at you. So it's a feeling of embracement.
Right.
So I feel like, yeah, okay, they appreciate you. Even if the car like jerks and then stops and then they try to push you. So that shows a spirit of communal. And yeah, so you must remember that also when you think Sbhiva, it's not so obvious that means clothing. So I also have the responsibility to drive the narrative, to put you on page that this is what we do and this is how the brand has stand up.
Did you come to Meetings Africa with the Beetle?
I wish I did. I didn't have space for it.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my midterm goal.
Speaking of midterm goals, you mentioned some of the collaborations that you've had. Are there other collaborations you're looking to have, getting that brand in other stores? Have those conversations started?
My focus now is building my store. So I'm opening my first shop, end of March in Melville, 27 boxes.
Okay.
So the focus for the rest of the year is to drive traffic to my store. I've got an online store, an online shop. So we call them stockists, when you have a retail that stocks your brand and you interact on consignment or they sell your brand on consignment. So I have a few of those, but now the focus is on the store because at pop-up markets, I get, questions such as, where are you based? When you send someone, to a stockist, the price is much higher than at your store.
Yes.
So I believe those kind of setups with the stockist are for people who don't deliberately, would reach your store or come to another pop-up market where you're at. So yeah, the focus is on building traction for the store, a home for Sbhiva.
Will we see you at Meetings Africa next year?
Yeah, definitely with my Beetle or Beetles.
Beetles.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Sihle. Well, for more conversations, you can go to our YouTube page.